Steamies. I'm carrying on with the fan reviews, and this is an interesting one. It's one that I got asked to review by a member of the fandom. Up until this point, I've been looking at content that I like, reaching out to the YouTuber, asking if I can review it, and if I have their permission, I do so. It's quite interesting actually getting asked to review a series. I mean, people are starting to take me seriously. Anyway, of course I'm happy to review other people's channels if asked. And this one that I'm reviewing is by Eddie Studios VA and the mini-series Splendid Insecurities. It's a 5-part mini-series that's filmed using Thomas Wooden Railway models. A little note from Eddie Studios himself regarding the series. I made this series because I always had a specific ending in mind for a Thomas story that I will not spoil. And more than anything, I wanted to see that ending myself. Also, I personally believe the story is about mistakes and how they can affect the people around you. As I've stated previously, I don't try and take the actual filming process of a story into consideration, because we're all trying to create unique Thomas content amongst the fandom. Eddie Studios VA had let me know that this was his first time making a project like this, and that the crew themselves put a lot of heart and passion into it. And I can tell that because as the story progressed, you could see that there was a lot more passion going into the stories. I'm not meaning that there wasn't any passion in the first story, but as with any pilot, there's always a little bit of rust when it comes to it. A little bit of nerves, and ironically a little bit of insecurity. I know that from doing projects myself. But as the stories went on, you could see the progression and the confidence growing in the stories. This ranged from using Sodor Online screenshots and video to the little increases in audio quality as it was going forward. And that's what I like to see, and what a lot of people like to see from content creators. You want to see where a person starts off and watch the progression over time, and that's what you got to see with this little mini-series. The stories themselves, as with a lot of fan content, are pretty dark. I know that the classic series and the Railway series had dark themes, but it always seems like the fan content kind of notches it up to 11 when it comes to their own content. Splendid Insecurities does the same. I won't honestly make a lot of spoilers because I do advise that you go and listen to the series for yourself, but 2 separate engines wind up in comas, and it's an interesting concept. Never really known about an engine to have a coma before. Could be something that someone expands on in their own fan content of what a coma is like for a steam engine. There's some interesting rivalries that are touched on. Steamies v Diesels, new Steamies v older Steamies, and there's a lot of tension within the actual Steam team themselves. From watching the series through, I could say that I believe the main protagonist of the story is James, which isn't surprising because James has a lot of personality flaws and traits that make him a more complex and well-rounded character. And I like that in this series, James does have quite a good character arc, starting off in one place and ending up as a completely different character by the end of it. There's also a nice little subplot with the narrow gauge engines in it that I really think you should check out, because I think that's what links into the movie that Eddie Studios VA was talking about. One thing I also didn't realise until I started doing a little bit more of a deep dive into the series is that it actually took 3 years for this YouTuber to make it. And you know what? I'm really proud that he did. There's lots of people out there that have ideas about a series, what they're going to do, but they never get round to actually releasing it because ironically they feel insecure about it. I feel that way myself, and it's why I do these reviews, because I want to give the people that actually have the confidence to get these stories out there amongst the fandom some positive feedback. The stories themselves may be a bit dark, but they are clearly very well thought out. A lot of time has been given on which characters he's going to use for which stories, which ones will be paired up, and how they interact. So you can tell there's a clear love of the original source material of Thomas and Friends. This is a series that I'm not going to give a ranking on. The reason being is that I don't want this creator to feel disencouraged by any ranking that I give. It would be wrong of me to do that, because I want this creator specifically to keep going. Take their time creating new stories for the fandom. And it doesn't matter if there's filmed footage, for example, Sodor Online clips, images of engines, or any Thomas Wooden Railway video. Try and create it like an audiobook. There's one thing I've learned from watching a lot of fandom content is that you don't need the razzle dazzle of the spectacle, videos, and special effects. As I said in a previous review, they're a Brucey bonus. It's the stories that we want, and there's a clear love and passion for the stories there. Focus on creating good stories, keep bringing in the right amount of talented people to do the voiceover work, which you clearly have, and keep enjoying it. That's not just to any studios, that's to any fandom creator out there. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. We'd actually prefer if it wasn't. As long as the stories are out there for the fandom to enjoy, that's all that matters. I know this may seem like a different review, but it's because it was such a different and interesting project. It was really unique, and like the title said, it was splendid. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep on chugging.